When I was a little kid, my grandmother called me Tommy. My mother called me Tommy. Every single person in my family called me Tommy. When I got cards for birthdays, it was T-O-M-M-I-E. I was Tommy up until I got to probably the Marine Corps. Then people called me Tom. I didn't pay much attention to what anybody called me. Then when I got to college, it was some were Tommy and some were Tom because I was back in the neighborhood. This chapter 14 is called Tom is Back to Tommy. From 1964 until 1966, I was in teacher heaven. Even my most jealous enemy would have to admit I absolutely loved my job. During my second year of teaching, I was recruited to sell life insurance part-time. The boss of the insurance company had a new twist on things. His customers bought life insurance with an automatic checking account. Then we would request the insurance company send a separate dividend check on the insurance back to them every year. I was taught to convince the customer to set up a mutual fund account through a mutual fund broker for depositing each of these yearly dividend checks. Then just watch it grow. Seemed like a great idea, and on paper, it really made sense. I really got into it. And eventually, I pissed off all the other salesmen in the life insurance office by getting my own mutual fund license through the National Association of Securities Dealers. I secretly took a nighttime training course in Philadelphia and eventually got a license to sell securities. This wasn't fair. In the insurance industry, you get paid for just the life insurance sold. The mutual fund service was a throwaway for all the other guys. When I pitched the customer, I could deliver on the insurance and on the mutual fund promise. Our insurance boss put the original scam together, but he never dreamed of getting a fund license for himself or any of his salesmen. The pitch went like this. The boss explained in training sessions that teachers get a tax-free payroll deduction for buying an annuity, which is an insurance product, out of their regular paycheck to an automatic payroll deduction. They actually could put a little more than 15% of their salary away tax-free. It was commonly referred to as a tax-sheltered annuity. This concept of saving with tax exemptions drove me crazy. Why just teachers? Why just an annuity? Why not the rest of us, mortals and citizens? Why not life insurance and mutual funds? Why not stocks and bonds? Why not real estate or real estate trusts? Why not bank accounts? Why not whatever? It drove me nuts. My personal habit of contemplating with mental experiments in meditation over the years always worked. At first, I had not intended it as a grandiose plan, just a question. First, it was merely a curiosity. The issue of the tax write-off for saving money was driving my thoughts. What's good for one is good for all, kept coming at me over and over again. I went from contemplation to investigation, and it turned into a good idea. Then it turned into a formal business corporation, and then it turned into a national retirement system. After explaining it many times to U.S. Senator Bill Roth, it became the IRA, Individual Retirement Accounts. It then turned into a housewife IRA. It then turned into a corporate IRA, which is now known as 401k. And then deferred compensation for all public employees throughout the United States. It actually became the largest accumulation of individual savings anyone ever contemplated in American history. Through all this excitement, my kids, the little kids, attended preschool. We lived and loved in Deerhurst, which was a quiet little suburban Republican dollhouse community outside of Wilmington, called the suburbs. I worked as a summertime swimming coach at the Elks Club pool. I worked weekends at the Hagley Museum as a DuPont Company history guide and family. And in my spare time, I became involved in neighborhood, organizational, Republican Party political interests. I became a total product of my new environment. Wintertime schedule, teaching every day after coaching from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Coaching judo after regular school classes from 3 o'clock till 4:30 p.m. Selling life insurance and mutual funds several nights a week, and in between, meeting Dickie Walters and his brothers at Ishikawa Judo Club in Philadelphia. Whew. I made many attempts to seriously train again. It never worked. I got bored easily. Enthusiasm is an absolute necessity in competitive judo, probably in any competitive sport. You have to hang around with other warriors. I love to watch Dickie train. I always admired Dickie. He was very motivating. I was in awe of Ishikawa, who was my first civilian sensei, the man from Japan that trained all the Japanese during the Second World War and a world champion for 2 years. I was actually in the company of real live, honest to goodness Japanese samurai, right here in Philadelphia. And Joey, Dickie's younger brother, who was a rookie on Beach Patrol with me, was now a lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps and was training in Quantico and going to a place called Vietnam. Little Johnny, the youngest of all of them, was not little anymore. After a few practices in the Philadelphia Judo Club, I told Kay, Dickie is throwing Johnny 500 times a night before the workouts. You should see Dickie. He's a black belt now, and Johnny's a brown belt. Wow, whatever happened when I wasn't looking? Going for the gold ebbed in my psychology, and going for gold in my pocket became paramount. Getting the insurance sale replaced physical activity to excite my adrenal drums. I lived for the smell of the hype, the feel of the sale, the reward, especially when it was a tight one or close, and I had to exaggerate my position to push it through. I knew what selling was all about, and I knew what they were buying. I also knew my personality made the difference. It was purely personal and strictly business. It made my nostrils flare. It paid much better than coaching, and the gold could actually be counted. A national mutual fund with a local office in Delaware offered me a full-time job. They also sold life insurance, so it made sense to get connected. I quit teaching to make the money with the idea I loved, and it made absolute sense to me. Kay was shocked. She was really stunned and really pissed off. She wanted me to stay in teaching. The idea of tax-free salary going into any investment whatsoever by any employee anywhere in the country without discrimination was driving me absolutely nuts. I was reading tax manuals. I was reading insurance manuals, mutual fund and investment manuals. Concepts were spinning slowly around in my head. Illusions, reality, payroll deductions, life insurance, mutual funds, a tax free-for-all for everybody. I couldn't figure out how to make it happen on paper, and then one night, bingo!